This is episode number 478 of the Health and Fitness Podcast by InnerFight in association with Smith Street Paleo. Hop over to smithstreetpaleo.com, order a meal plan, order some snacks. The food makes your life better. Here we go. Andre, it feels like a while since mate, you've left me on my own for the update shows. You've left me, I mean, it's like a one-man show.
It seems like you've been busy lately.
Not really. It's actually quite funny. I think I was saying it the other day, mate. I set out at the start of the month. I'm like, yeah, I'll just come in every day and I'll do everything like normal. And then it sort of got a little bit different to that. I think I made it to the first Tuesday or maybe Wednesday. And then, even actually the thought of coming in to record a 15-minute update show was like the 20 minutes to get here and then the 20 minutes to get home. I was just like, nah.
So for those of you who don't know what Marcus did the past month is that he ran 30 marathons in 30 days in association with the Dubai Fitness Challenge that was over a 30-day period.
Yeah.
And
did you do 30 minutes of exercise every day for 30 days, mate?
Probably a little bit more. Just a little bit
just
more.
A little bit. You've probably blown it out of the park as well. You didn't use the Dubai Fitness app, did you?
No, I didn't get to.
Okay. All right. Well.
But I know you did, and I know that you're going to do a talk on your run soon.
Yeah.
On next Thursday?
Next Thursday. So a week from when this show's out.
Yeah.
8 a.m. Yeah. 6th of December. And we have over 300 people already registered for it. So we kind of need to make sure if you are coming, please let us know.
Yeah.
And if you've registered, come.
And what can people expect from the talk?
Actually, I don't know.
So a little bit background. This is the Inner Talks, and it's where we bring inspiring people to share their story. And it's about 1 hour in a gym on a Thursday morning right before people go to work. We also have a class at 9 o'clock and before.
Yeah.
You can join.
And yeah, those classes are, I'm playing with the wrong controls here, but those classes on Thursday, if you want to come before Inner Talks, if you're not a member and you don't normally come, and you want to come before Inner Talks or you want to come after Inner Talks, we invite you to a class absolutely complimentary.
Yeah.
So people can do that. But mate, to answer your question, I'm actually not really going to prepare anything for the talk.
Okay.
That was... Holly always abuses me for my talks. She's like, "Oh, all of your talks are so premeditated," and I'm like, "Yeah, because all of them have a objective."
Yeah.
So it's almost like the show today. We spent a few hours preparing it, despite what people think. And sometimes we're not fully prepared. We might not have a web link that we should have, but we spend a lot of time preparing the shows. And I always spend a lot of time preparing my talks because they have a certain objective in mind.
Yeah.
But this talk really is more about sharing sort of what's happened in my life over the last 12 months. Also what I set out to do in 2018 and I think how everything changed in quite a split second when I was hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And then taking that and then I'll just tell the story. And I think it's quite easy to tell a story that you've lived out. So that's what the talk's going to be all about. And then what's important as well is at the end there's going to be about 15 or 20 minutes for Q&A. So I know a lot of people are coming with a lot of questions. So they can. There's going to be an opportunity to do that.
And for the people internationally, we are going to record this.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure when it'll be on the podcast, but it will be on the podcast.
Yeah. Someone
actually asked if we can Facebook Live it, which might be an option, but I'm not too sure at the moment.
Sound-wise,
actually, I was thinking about it when someone asked me that question, and I think it can work. We'll just have to try and figure out a little bit of the technology. Maybe give our friends at Create Media, Tom and Dia, they kind of know what's happening there.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be with them this weekend in Oman. Dia's coming down to do some filming. Tom's running, so maybe we'll make it Facebook Live.
Cool.
I don't know. Well, should we make it for internet? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if it should go out there. I've obviously got quite a few podcasts lined up as well from different international podcasts as well, talking about the 30 marathons in 30 days. So
cool.
I want to respect those guys and give them the story, but also want to respect all of our supporters and podcast listeners. So it'll probably go out on the InnerFight podcast. Maybe not the next week, but it'll be there at some stage.
Most importantly, you'll be able to get it.
Most importantly, you'll be able to get it. And most importantly, if you're in Dubai and you're coming, let us know. Winning at InnerFight.com. Go and register at Eventbrite. And if you do register, just come.
Yeah.
Don't register and
Please.
not come. Because we're organising more chairs, we're organising more space. I'm not buying a new gym, but we're organizing a lot of space. And to make sure that we can fit 300 people upstairs, which is where we're going to have it, we need to be organized. So if you're coming, please let us know. And if it gets, we're actually going to cap it, I think, at 350 because that's all that we can fit up here.
That would be crazy. It would be packed here.
It would be quite busy, mate. Yeah. I actually don't know what 350 up here is going to look like, but I think there's enough space for it. I think
It should be.
we definitely have to put the ping pong table away, but I think there's definitely enough space for it, and we've ordered in another sort of 150 chairs. So it's going to be about 150 to 200 people seated and about 100 standing.
Yeah.
Come early, you'll get a chair. Come late, I will have already started, because as always, we start on time. We'll start exactly at 8 o'clock, and we'll finish at 9.
Bang.
And you're actually going to start it. I haven't told you this yet.
Oh.
That's your job.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
No time like the present. But yeah, I think it's difficult to introduce myself. So I think as the co-host of the show, mate, you should definitely you should kick it off. So you might want to prepare.
Am I allowed to prepare? I was about to say.
No, you can.
Today,
you can just wing it. So some guy was in the class earlier, and I think he made a good speaker. And here he comes.
Marcus told me he's prepared absolutely nothing for this talk. Thanks for coming, though.
Should be. No, I've got, mate. It's not that I'm not going to prepare. I've got 3 or 4 pictures, but I think it's obviously quite. There's quite a lot of learnings from it, and I think if they're spoken out in quite a natural way, it's going to be a good talk. So I'm pretty excited to give it. I've already given it about 5 times in my head, so I kind of know what I'm going to say.
You kind of had the time on those 30 marathons.
I had a little bit of time, mate. And then when you can't sleep at night because you've got so much cortisol flying around in your body, but you really want to sleep and you just try and have to occupy your mind. So I put myself to sleep doing the talk, which that might not be the best advert for it. Mate, let's hop into today's topic. This is something that I actually had a lot of time to think about as well. And I've spoken to you a little bit about, you like the topic, and actually had where the original conversation of this came from, and I want to give it a little bit of background, is I was talking to one of the teachers in one of the schools that I went to.
Yeah.
Went to one school, and we couldn't finish at the school that day because I had to finish somewhere else. But what we did is we went in and we did a lap of their sports field with the kids. It's actually where Arish kids go to school,
Okay.
King's School in Barsha. No, I think that's what it's called. I don't know if it's called King's Nad Al-Sheba.
Yeah.
Is it King's? This is really terrible that I don't know it.
It's a school.
It's a school. It's a Regis Kids school. I should know it. Anyway, and then the lady from there came and ran with me, and she said, like, it's super nice that you came to the kids, and we started talking about motivation in kids. And 5K later, as it goes on the runs, you sort of end up in a place in a conversation with people, and it's really interesting. So, what is it, mate?
It's about motivation.
Yeah.
And it's intrinsic and extrinsic.
I think one of the best things, mate, is, and this is what I did once I'd finished the conversation, because we were talking about intrinsic, extrinsic, I actually went to the dictionary and got the definition. So I think that's the best thing, because when intrinsic means belonging naturally and essential,
Yeah.
whereas extrinsic means not part of the essential nature of someone or something, coming or operating from outside. And I think the 2 words, mate, that we normally use here is internal, external,
Yeah.
right? And obviously,
Bit easier to pronounce
Little
for
bit.
non-English speaking people.
mate, you do pretty well. I think if we were doing this in Danish, I'd be struggling. But mate, if we go to the definition for internal, external, run us through that. What does the dictionary say about that?
Internal is of or situated on the inside. External, belonging to or forming the outer surface or structure of something. So quite similar.
Yeah,
Very similar.
Super similar. So when it comes to motivation, and this was the start of the conversation that we had when we were running, is where do people get their motivation from?
Yeah.
And I think you've seen it a lot, mate, in what you do, and people will ask you, like, who do you look up to? And let's talk about it. Who do you look up to sports style-wise?
I think I look up to a lot of different people for different things.
Yeah.
I don't have one that I look up to that I think have the whole package.
Right.
I think the number one person I look up to in sports would be Roger Federer.
Right.
Just because of his class, his consistency, his excellence,
Yeah.
his good sportsmanship. He's generally just a liked person
Yeah.
overall, and he's one of the greatest.
He's one of the greatest.
He's been around for so long now, and
Yeah.
it's easy. It's not easy to go to the top.
Yeah.
But one thing is definitely not easy. It's not easy to stay on the top.
Stay up there, yeah.
And he's won over 20 Grand Slams.
It's incredible.
And that is just insane.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a reign for an incredibly long time. But, I mean, if we sort of, and this is a little bit where this goes as well, is that if you look at external, if you look at the extrinsic motivation, in 10 years' time, you're still going to be an athlete.
Yeah.
You're going to be mid-30s. There's going to be a new Roger Federer in town.
Yeah.
So the amount of time that an extrinsic or an external factor gives you motivation is somehow, it's restricted, right?
Yeah.
It lasts for a certain period of time.
And I don't think these people like Roger Federer is motivated by external things.
Yeah.
In the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it'll be sweet to, beat the record for most Wimbledons won ever, etc., etc. But
yeah.
that cannot be the main driver to get up every morning.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a really good point. I think, does Roger Federer wake up and go, I'm sitting on 20 Grand Slams, or let's go back because he's the biggest Grand Slam winner of all time, but when he was like one away from someone who held it before, which this shows that sometimes we don't prepare everything with the show, but we can still talk about it. But someone like Pete Sampras, who held like a number, I think he held like 14 or 15. Federer doesn't wake up every morning and go, I'm on 14. If I get one more, I'm the same as Sampras.
Yeah.
Like, that's not his motivation, right? Yeah. It's something different. So I think that's super important, mate. I like something else that you said there, though, as well. Like, you look to different people for different for different things. Talk to us a little bit about that, mate.
I think a lot of people look up to someone in their family because that's the ones they know the best and someone they have super close. So I will really look up to my father and my grandfather for their work ethic.
Yeah.
I would really look up to my sister for her positivity and courage.
Yeah.
And, I find motivation in different people, but it's not that these people have all of it in one.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's nice to be able to pick and choose from different people.
Yeah, and I guess that's the habits of those people. Like you said something about your sister, she has a certain characteristic. So you look to. It's almost like, I guess this is an outrageous example, but it's similar. Like if you want to go and get your teeth fixed, you go to a dentist, not to the veterinary doctor.
Yeah,
but they're both doctors in a way, and they both studied. So, but they give you a certain service. Is the same for motivation, right?
What about you?
Mate, I mean, this is the thing, and this was part of the conversation. I remember when I was in school, and this is why, I mean, it comes up a lot on my Instagram, on my weekly Q&A there, people like, who motivates you and stuff. I think the only one consistent person outside of my family is in business. I love Richard Branson, and we on another run, we had a long conversation about Richard Branson, and he appears like a super nice guy, but is it quite cutthroat in some of his companies? And we had some quite interesting discussions about that, and obviously people make different things up, and it's a bit cutthroat, and maybe they're not as nice as you see. But I think the way that Branson's lived his life, the way that I've read a couple of his books, and the way that he sort of puts himself out there, and he just remains quite humble a lot of the time. At the moment he's got the Necker Cup tennis tournament going on his island where, yesterday he's playing Bjorn Borg. You know what I mean? And all of these big tennis guys just want to come and play in this Necker Cup, which is, he invites everyone to his island just to play a tennis tournament. And he's like, I don't know, 70 or something? It's just crazy. Killing it. It's so cool, mate. But I think, and that's where, when we were having this discussion, like, I remember when I was a kid, and we were in school, I used to enjoy watching football, and Liverpool was who everyone supported. So we'd look at the players from the Liverpool team, and I can remember them all now, and I can remember their names. But then they drop off the face of the earth. So if you say who motivated you when you were a 9-year-old kid, the Liverpool football team did. But I haven't watched or cared about football probably since I was about 11 years old.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a little bit similar in the characteristics of someone like Roger Federer, and of an athlete. You really respect them, but I think that's the biggest point that I want to try and get over in this show, mate, is that extrinsic motivation, these external things are often very short-lived, and they come and they go, and they're almost, for me, like the icing on the top of the cake. You can see Roger Federer and you can see all of his behaviors, but they're like your foundation is internal motivation. Your foundation is the intrinsic stuff. The icing on the cake is the extrinsic stuff. Is like, oh, Federer actually does it like that. Okay, I've got a really good work ethic. He does it like that. I'll just try a little bit like that. And I think that's a good way to do it. I think to try and take some of the characteristics of these guys. Like, I love watching professional athletes.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about, like, designing what Marcus 2.0 would look like? Because, like, for example, I do that for myself.
Yeah.
I look at, like, what the goals are, etc., and then, you know,
What do you mean by 2.0?
I would kind of imagine how does Andre look as a games athlete? If Andre makes it to the games, how good is he? What can he do? What has he done to make it there? And then I'm able to reverse engineer that.
Yeah.
I look at that person that I now look up to. So it's not someone specific like Roger Federer.
Yeah.
I try to look at, you know, I think it's easier to relate to yourself.
Yeah.
So I think if you take yourself, you know, you're brutally honest with yourself. Like, what are you doing right now? What are your flaws?
Yeah.
If you want to be that games athlete, what do you need to do in order to get there?
Yeah.
And that's like the 2.0 version of yourself.
I've never looked at it like that.
And it's like, then you reverse engineer from there. Like, all right, this guy eats super clean. Like, he never, you know, drinks. He never does this. He never parties.
Yeah.
He makes sure he's on time. He makes sure training's executed to the best. All of these character traits that you might have found in, like, Roger Federer, Noah Olsen, like, great athletes, Serena Williams, all these kind of athletes. And then, like, you can almost make that person you just made up, which is who you want to be, the goal to get to. And you know the characteristics of that person. And you can, you know, look yourself in the mirror every day and ask if you're doing it.
If you're doing that. I think that's, mate, I've never heard it called 2.0, but I think that's an exercise that I think people do a lot, and I guess I do it a lot. I've never gone to it as a 2.0, but I've always gone, okay, the goal is X.
Yeah.
The characteristics that I need to live out to get to X are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Where am I falling short? Where am I getting better? I think that's one thing, and we've spoken about this a lot before. Like, a lot of people are like, okay, what am I not doing? I need to do more of that. Whereas, and then they don't realize that actually they might be doing a lot of what needs to get them there. And if they could do that better, rather than focusing everything on what they're not doing, like a lot of people focus on what they're not doing rather than what they're doing super well, and then they don't put any energy into what they do super well, so they don't get any better at it. And those things are as important. And I know that sounds, people might be a little bit confused by what I mean there, but if you look at something like CrossFit, and you look at, you know, you're really good in gymnastics, but you might suffer a little bit in something else. So if you don't practice the gymnastics, like, you don't just stop practicing your gymnastics. No. You continue to practice your gymnastics so that when a gymnastic-based workout comes up, you absolutely destroy it. Yeah. And you're like, I know I can kill that. But if you haven't been practicing your gymnastics for the last 3 months as religiously as you should because you're working on a weakness, then when that workout comes up, you're like, oh shit, I actually haven't done many handstand push-ups or many muscle-ups.
No, you create a new gap in your...
You create a new gap. So I think I'd probably do that. I think I'd probably create a 2.0 without calling it a 2.0. And I think that's what, you know, that's what actually excites me a lot, mate, about the goals that I sort of set. The end thing is almost a matter of, like, time. It's going to happen. Yeah. If we've done everything right along the way. And I think that's the way I view a lot of things. Like, the goal is every single day, and the process and those behaviors that you talk about, like what needs to get better, what needs to get what is better and needs to get even better. So I think that's a super useful exercise for people as well, and to understand it. But looping back to internal, mate, I think is one of the most important things. And what actually, like, how often do you think people actually go, okay, motivation firstly is me? You know, because what do? We read books, we look at social media, we talk to people, we go to Inner Talks next Thursday to get inspiration. Yeah. But like I said, they're all icing on the cake. So what do you do to create internal motivation?
I think you really need to be able to sit down with yourself and get... Yeah, it's very difficult. And I've spoken to a lot of people about this because... I know a lot of people, they actually don't know why.
Yeah.
They really love doing something. Like, if you ask Roger Federer, why do you why tennis? Why are you playing it so much? I think to some extent,
Yeah.
some people are just doing something because they love it for the fact of just doing it.
Yeah.
And there is no deeper why
No
to
deeper
it.
meaning, yeah.
I think it can be sometimes dangerous to have a specific why to something, because when that why disappears,
Yeah.
then what's the next stage?
Yeah.
If your whole training was tied up in one thing,
Yeah.
how do you make that transfer all of a sudden?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is super difficult. So I think in order to find your internal or intrinsic motivation, you really need to figure out what you want in life,
Yeah.
and what that achieving something will do to you and the people around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I think that's an interesting thing, what you said there, like how it affects the people around you as well, mate, because we talk a lot on the show about a support network and the people that are with you, the people that are around you. Like, especially for me, like, what I do, and I know what you do, like, has a massive impact on Natalie. And
Yeah.
she supports you. So there's like this genuine buy-in as a team. It's the same with Holly. Like, my ridiculous life impacts her a lot more than she doesn't have a ridiculous life in the nicest possible way. Like, she has a really good life and she's fit and she's healthy and she's happy, but it's not like, okay, for 30 days I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. and go running, and then I'm just smoked for the rest of the day and I'm in pain and I can't sleep properly because of the pain and all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's sort of there putting up with it. But I think what you said, mate, like understanding like why you want what you want, because a lot of people will look, and Federer's just giving us so much ammunition here. It's great, but a lot of people will look to Federer's life and go, well, he flies around the world, he makes a lot of money, he's on the biggest stage, and all he's doing is something that he loves.
yeah.
That's great. I want that.
Yeah.
You know, but the fact that, and even Federer, mate, and it's more brutal in tennis and sports like golf than I think in any other sport. They spent years like living on couches to get to flying around the world for that.
And only so few will get to fly around the world.
Exactly. And only like fewer, like, especially if you play in Roger Federer's era, because he's just dominated for so long.
Yeah.
That, you know, so people think that they see someone like that and they think they want it. But again, if you ask them like why, they'll say, well, because he's got loads of money.
So I think what you're saying is that, you know, to find that intrinsic motivation,
You can call it internal.
if you're not good enough and if you don't know yourself good enough,
Yeah.
find someone very close to you and make them shoot you down with questions.
Yeah.
And just keep asking, you know, like, why do you, like, okay, I want to go to CrossFit Games. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What is that going to do to you?
Yeah.
Is it worth the sacrifice? Like, really drill you down
Yeah.
with thousands of questions.
Yeah.
And until you can keep answering those questions, bang, bang, bang,
Yeah.
then you, like, if
Yeah.
you can't do that, then it's
Yeah.
not important enough.
I think that's the I mean, it's having a why, but then having an answer for every why.
Yeah.
You know, why do you want to wake up at 5 o'clock?
Bang.
Because that's goal. Yeah, but why? You know, what would make you do that?
Yeah.
And I think that's really where so many people, and, you know, I was having a conversation earlier with someone about the times that our class start and how I think our success rate of starting on time is like, I quoted it as 99.9999%. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think a class ever starts 1 minute late. You know, as soon as we're literally, and it's quite funny because when I was teaching the other day, it was 5:28
Yeah.
in the morning and everyone's ready. And I was like, oh, I'll start. And then I was like, no, I won't, because someone might come in at 5:29 and we all just sort of stood there, and it's early morning, and, you know, there's not much chat at that time of day, obviously. You know, I'm trying to fill in the blanks and stuff. But as soon as that clock ticks to 5:30, we start.
Boom.
Because why? Because that's a precedent of how we want to do things. We
Yeah.
want, you know, timekeeping to us is a matter of discipline. But if people are not in tune with that, to a lot of people, timekeeping is not important.
No.
Like, they don't, especially in this part of the world, sorry to say it, people's people's respect for time is just completely terrible. You know, so I think that whole understanding of, well, in this case, why do we actually start on time is something super important, because to a lot of people it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
I'll come in 5 minutes late, you know, and in the end, they actually don't stay here for very long.
Jumping a little bit back to external motivation and where it actually can fuel some good internal motivation would be, for example, when people come to, a gym where there might be great coaches or good athletes, that can sort of kick a lot of fire inside them, and like, wow, that person is really good at something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also something I want, and that can kickstart that conversation of them setting goals and finding out why they want it and if they really want it.
Yeah.
I think especially with younger people in his schools.
Yeah.
Like, guys, typically boys are not too motivated in school, but I think grades, that's an external thing.
Yeah.
If you get bad grades, you're not happy. But if you get good grades, that can motivate you to do even better in school.
Absolutely,
and
man.
Eventually maybe shape you into becoming an internally motivated person.
Yeah, I think...
like you said, icing on the cake.
Yeah.
There has to be a balance between those two.
Yeah. Or it could be, like you say, mate, it could be a spark.
Yeah.
So, there's next week, we've got 300 people registered for Inner Talks. They're coming for... Some of them are coming to hear the story. They're genuinely interested. But some people are coming just for a spark. Just for... And I saw it in the schools, mate. I'd go in... I use the story of my running because it's hot right now, and I learn a lot from it. But it's like, I'd go in and I'd inspire a kid.
Yeah.
But then I'd have a conversation with a kid. And I'd actually, like, they'd say, I love running. I'm in the cross-country team. And, okay, why do you like it? I say, why do you like it? What do you like about it? So you can be inspired. You can have that spark from your Roger Federer, from the grades and stuff. But that same why still has to be asked, right? Because if it's just... Because in 3 weeks' time, those kids have forgotten about me. Yeah. Some of them will remember me, but a lot of them have forgotten. So it's not it's like a spark that creates it. It's the icing on the cake, and it's the spark as well. So I totally agree with you, mate. But at the same time, as you've said, we've got to dial it back into the base. And I mean, I think one of the things as well is having clear goals. Like really clear goals of what you want to achieve, and maybe it's a 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, 5 year, or 10-year goal that's actually quite clear.
Yeah.
And that's set in a way that, you've been here 3 years and your goal is the same. I wonder why.
Yeah. Because
you thought about it. Like, your intention to qualify for the CrossFit Games hasn't changed in the time I've known you.
No.
Why is that?
Because it's a really important goal with a big why behind it.
Right.
But it's really interesting what you say, because a lot of people do not ask themselves about that why in so many parts of their life. Like, why are you with that person? What is that you love about that person next to you?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you ask someone, what do you love about your wife? What do you love?
Yeah.
Why is that your best friend? Why do you love coming to the gym? What is it that makes you feel this way? Once you start, connecting with those things, you also really appreciate them much more.
Yeah.
And you start noticing things a lot more.
Yeah. That's a very good way of putting it, mate. Like, once you start connecting with things, once you start saying to yourself, like, and it's a lot of, and I know you do this as well. I know you do quite a lot of what am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
But also on the flip side, it's looking back and saying, wow, I really enjoyed that CrossFit class today.
Yeah.
Why? What did I like about it?
Yeah.
Like, and then, look, I'm sure people don't do this, but I'm 100% sure that their enjoyment of fitness and their motivation to be interested in fitness, this is internal. This is intrinsic.
Yeah.
It's not that... Some people come here because you're the coach. Andre's coaching, I'm going. I'm motivated by him. I'm inspired by him. That's external motivation. But imagine if you finish, like, Thursday therapy and you just sit down, take a scrap of paper, or even just don't bother write it down and go, I really enjoyed that. Why?
Yeah.
And it was power cleans to start, and I like those. Okay, why do you like those? What part of that do
And
you
the
like?
reason why you need to write it down is because it can empower you so much more.
Yeah.
If you realize that, oh man, that session made me so much fitter. I'm gonna be so, my husband is proud of me. My kids are so proud of me. Like, I'm gonna kill it at work today. All of a sudden, you have a list of 10 things. You go to work, you're like, poof,
Yeah.
I killed it this morning. Like, all these 20 things are just gonna make me feel amazing.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're grateful for until you freaking write it down and become conscious about it.
Absolutely, man.
We have so many things in life that we don't realize how lucky we are and how, grateful we should be.
Yeah.
And that's key. And I think the reason why Roger Federer and why I like Noah Olsen and those guys, they're all so positive and so grateful. And Gary Vee, he's fueled by being grateful for the things he has.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think that's what people should be fueled by and not by others.
Yeah, no, not by others. And I think that's the thing as well, mate, is that the others, if you do some self-reflection, for whatever scenario, that's the basis of your internal motivation.
Yeah.
And that's going to fire you a lot more. I can guarantee you, like, let's take a scenario of that workout. You do great in a Thursday therapy. You do even if you don't do reflection, you crush it on a Thursday. If Roger Federer wins on Wednesday night, you don't crush it on a Thursday at work.
No.
Like, you don't. You're inspired by it. You're like, wow, he's just won again. Even if he's your hero, you're in a good mood and stuff. But you don't crush it because of that. You crush Thursday because of your workout on Thursday morning, because of how well you've done in it.
Yeah.
But you only continue, and you only can leverage that if you identify with it and if you write it down. Mate, moving on. I mean, we had some other points here of how we get intrinsic motivation, and one thing that you and I have always been big on, and it's kind of something that a lot of the guests that we've had on, understanding the process and focusing on the process. How do you, when you've created this, let's call it the Andre 2.0, how do you focus? Like, you now understand the process, but how do you keep focused, mate?
It's not easy, but for me, I have a massive poster, like the size of my whole body at home, where I have like all these things that I've committed to.
Right.
And looking at that every day when I wake up in the morning.
Is it at the end of your bed?
Yeah, it basically is.
Is it?
Yeah.
So life-size fit. It's like Boz having a giraffe.
Yeah, pretty much. It's literally like 180 tall, and it has like all these commitments. And
right.
I don't need to read them anymore because I could just look at it and I know exactly what it says.
Right.
That's one of the things, and it is super difficult to make the rest background noise. But again, once you're so tuned in to what you want, the rest automatically becomes background noise.
Yeah.
But you have to find, triggers that you can use if you get out of that focus.
Right.
Do you have any specific things?
That's what I was going to say, mate, because another point that we had is making the process happen daily. Like, what if it's not? And, mate, for me, and this is what people say, do you have bad days? I think you do. I think everyone has bad days. I think I have bad days. And I think not every day, obviously not every day is easy, mate. A lot of days are very hard.
I think that's key. It's not that I don't think you have bad days.
Yeah.
I just don't think every day is easy.
Yeah.
Most days feel great and I'm motivated.
Yeah.
And then there's days, it's not a bad session.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more hard to be motivated and focus.
Yeah. And I think that's where sometimes you can drop a trigger. You can sort of look back and you can look at your why, and you can just try and be, I would say, like, I say to myself, and this is sometimes like, if you're having a bad day, have a think about it, make it a good day. Like, you can sort of, if you're just not feeling it, again, just to sit for a few minutes and go, okay, why am I just in a little bit of a frump today? What's happened?
Yeah.
And a lot of, man, it could be anything. It could be, you've had an argument with your girlfriend, you've had an argument with your wife, your boss or one of your colleagues has just said something stupid, and, or just that actually has upset you.
Yeah.
But then you have to back off and you have to go, okay, why? Why am I in this situation? Why have I let myself get in this situation? Okay, Andre said something to me I didn't like. Sweet. What can I do about that right now? I can either go up to Andre and say, listen, mate, you're a dickhead, get out my way, and sort it out. Probably not quite as aggressively as that, but we could sort it out like that. Or I can go, okay, this session, my goal is way bigger than what Andre just said to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's way bigger.
Yeah.
So why am I going to let that get in the way? What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a day or 2 days, and I'm going to then revisit what Andre said. And I'm going to be totally cool with that. And I'm going to be relaxed, and we're going to talk in 2 days.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get on with my goal. And I think these are the distractions, mate, that people are letting in the whole time. Like, if you say to people, have you had a good day? And they go, no. I say, oh, what's up? My boss has been an asshole. Okay, but why have you let that
destroy your day?
Destroy your day.
It's out of your control.
He's been an asshole. Like, it's going to happen in life. People are going to come in and people are going to behave like assholes. It just happens. But you've allowed it to come in, and it's on your mind, and you're doing a back squat and you're thinking about it. And then it's like, oh, just don't feel strong enough.
Yeah.
And then you're more down because it's testing day, and you used to have 120 kilo back squat, but because you're back squatting and thinking about what your boss said, you can only do 115. But because your mind's like, and that's what we hear, my mind's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, don't allow it to be.
Yeah.
And as soon as you feel that you're in that situation, step back, breathe, go to a place that's quiet, and just again ask why.
Yeah.
And honestly, dude, like this is happening a lot, like through my crash and also through these marathons. Like, I'd be like thinking, I'd be trying to go to sleep, and I'd be thinking about 5 days' time. And mate, you start to, like, you've got to wake up every morning and run for 4 hours. Like, you start to think like, geez, I'm like 3 days in. And one of my friends one of my dad's friends who went to the Olympics a long while ago, sent me a message. He said, I bet it was hard mentally in the first 5 days. He sent me an email yesterday. Like, how did you know?
Yeah.
He's obviously been through it. But once I was able to remove everything and be 100% present, the whole dynamics of the challenge changed.
Yeah.
The whole dynamics changed, mate. And I think you can do that. You can do that on a CrossFit session.
Yeah.
You can at 10 o'clock, we can have a problem. At 11 o'clock, you can have the best session of your life.
Yeah.
And why sometimes do you have the best session of your life? People say, because I was angry. No, it's not. It's because you're able to clear it all out. So you're able to make the process happen every single day. And I think that's where people are. I think people just let too much get to them, mate, and then that affects their goal. But it's not even a big deal.
No.
It's like, Andre didn't comment on my post.
Yeah,
like,
you have to.
Are you kidding me? You know what I mean?
For me, I think that is definitely the best way. I think if you're out there and you're in a situation where you have 1 hour to get work done, and you don't have time to sit down and go through those things. For me, there are certain quotes that work and that can just pull me out of it. And one of them is something I read recently, and the quotes change and different things come to my mind. But this one was, training and working towards a goal is like building a house, and every session needs to put down a brick. And if you don't everyone trains hard, everyone shows up, but every session needs to be good, because now you cannot not lay down that brick.
Yeah, right.
And if you don't, somebody else will. And literally that thought of somebody else will can just fire me up.
Yeah.
Like crazy. And that is external.
Yeah.
Yet it just can pull me out of it immediately.
Yeah.
If you don't put the brick down, somebody else will. And you're never gonna let anybody else do that. Sometimes that external motivation can really help. If not for other people, like, it can be a song, it can be something that can just tune you in to a song that you remember you heard when you won something, or when you had a great moment, or when it's a dark time.
Yeah.
And that song just pulls you back into
pulls you back out. This guy, mate, that I've got up on the screen here, and I know you can't see it, folks, but I've got Daley Thompson up on the screen. And basically, Daley Thompson was a pentathlete from the UK, and there's an amazing picture when he'd just won, and he's got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of his competitors lying on the floor at the end of the track. One of the hardest events, because it's so many, decathlon, sorry, pentathlon is 5 events for the ladies, decathlon, which is 10 events in the Olympics. Oof. And this guy used to say he used to train on Christmas Day, and he said that gave him the edge, because he knew that no one else would be.
Yeah.
He said it doesn't make him better, but he said I know that when I'm lining up and when things are tough, I've trained on Christmas Day. And it's exactly the same as putting a brick down, mate.
Yeah.
You know, you're willing. I mean, these things are very quite aggressive and
They are.
in competitive sport, but we can learn so much of that in life.
Yeah.
You know, it's not... You don't have to be eyeing off the guy in your CrossFit class, but you're almost eyeing off yourself. You know, if I don't do it, well, who's going to do it?
It's not about pushing anyone else down, which it can sound a little bit like
it. It can do, mate.
It's not about that, but it's about you're basically that person you're talking about.
Yeah.
If somebody else won't,
yeah,
you're talking about yourself.
Yes, that's it.
Right now, you're talking about yourself.
Yeah.
It's like the reason why I don't drink is because I know if I have one beer, that's going to be in my head when, you know, shit hits the fan. It's the final workout of the weekend, and everybody's tired. I'm going to remember you did not slack for a second. But, like, and that's the difference.
Yeah, and it can be, mate. And I think that's, you know, that bit, like, that beer, that brick is different for everyone. And I think that's what, you know, if obviously if you're listening to this, like, you've got to figure out what it is. I used to have a guy, this is such the end of the spectrum as well. We used to play rugby with a guy. We used to play the next day in front of 40,000 people. Yeah. He'd be in the bar having one beer the night before a game. It just made him relax. If he didn't have that one beer, he wouldn't. He'd be weird the next day.
Okay.
Did it affect him much physiologically? Probably not. You know, it's
everyone has their triggers.
330.
Right?
That's his trigger. You use it in the other way around. You use a brick in one way around. Daley Thompson uses Christmas Day. It's something different for absolutely everyone. And I think that's what makes it. That's what makes this whole conversation so unique, and that's why it really all rounds back to the fact that you have to keep asking the why. Yeah. You have to keep saying what's going to make you trigger, you know? Because at the same time, we could pick out a number of things that, for example, I do that could impact my performance. Yeah. You know? Every few months I have ice cream, but I don't think that's making me worse. No. You know what I mean? So we really have to pick it out. Another thing, mate, before we wrap up, we listed that, you know, how do people get intrinsic motivation is what we've spoken about briefly, regular check-ins. You do a morning journal. Yeah. We just encourage people to do weekly reflections as well, like how was the week? Just score it. You know, create a simple scoring system, create a traffic light system. One of the basic things that I've used with a lot of people coaching is like, you know, if you don't want to write a food diary, just give me a traffic light. Was it a good day, green? Was it 50-50 amber, or was it terrible red? Yeah. And then we just start to build. So I think those regular check-ins, mate, are super important. And it's actually quite funny. I've just realized, like, the last three things on the list here are actually values of InnerFight, of the company: honesty, hard work, and keeping things simple. Yeah. So, you know, I think a lot of this is really, if you don't have that characteristic of honesty, then when we ask why, you're just going to bullshit again yourself. Exactly. It's not going to be anyone else. And
so it goes back to that conversation. You make sure you have that real conversation with yourself or someone else. Yeah. To figure out if you really want it. And if you know, you'll be able, that other person who asks you those questions will be able to tell if you're honest or not.
Exactly. Mate, my summary was extrinsic motivation lasts a short time, but is easy to find. That's why people use it a lot. It's almost like a little bit of extra fire on the fire, or a little bit of extra spark on the fire. Yeah. It's not something bad. But I think intrinsic motivation is the key. The internal stuff, it's a little bit harder to formulate, but lasts definitely longer. And I think once Roger Federer's gone and once Daley Thompson's gone, if you don't have that intrinsic base, I think things are a little bit harder. Thoughts? Final thoughts?
Do it for yourself and not for anyone else. I don't think Roger Federer wins 20 Wimbledons or Grand Slams to impress us. Yeah. He does it for himself, and that's why he doesn't care if people remember him in 10 years. Yeah. Because he didn't do it for us. Remembered. He did it for himself.
That's a very good
And that's
point.
what matters. So do it for yourself and no one else.
That's 45 minutes, mate.
That's good.
Motivation.
Hopefully people can, you know, use some of those takeaways, and if you need to have a conversation with us about your goals, we're happy to meet up and you know, come to the gym, and we're happy to ask you those questions and try to almost shoot you down with questions. And you know, if you're prepared, you'll be all right. You'll pass, and if not, you know,
you'll get crushed.
Regardless, it's positive.
I think that's one thing. Like, just to really wrap it up, if you are thinking a lot now, just really go with a pen and paper and just go with what you said maybe 40 minutes ago. Why?
Keep asking why.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? What? Why?
Yeah.
How? Where? When? How? Why?
Yeah.
And I think if you do that enough, you'll get the answers. But if you can't find them, give us a shout. Or go and see someone who knows how to help you. But we're here. That has been Motivation, folks. Intrinsic, Extrinsic. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening. Any questions that you have, you want to mail to us, or any ideas you want to mail to us, we'd love to hear your feedback for winning at InnerFight.com. One day. Thank you.
Thank you.